Hey guys, Mark with Think Insurance. Today we're going to talk about Progressive. I'm a little bit leery to make this because I'm afraid they're going to get mad. But you know what? Sometimes you just got to say what needs to be said. I'm going to show you a couple things. So this is a picture that I took. So this is a snapshot of Progressive. They've got 5 stars, 9,427 reviews. And when I clicked on this was an ad from Progressive.com, which was great, but I couldn't get through the negative responses. Not Progressive Auto, we're talking about Progressive Home. And the problem that I ran into was a lot of people were having issues with coverage and being covered. Now, I just made a video, and after this, I'll link it below, that talked about when your insurance doesn't cover things. Because what I find most often, when Progressive does home insurance, they do them through agents. So they're not directly working through you. They're working through an agent who you're speaking with. Now, that's actually the best way to go because the agents know what they're doing. Some of them rip you off, or some of them want to be competitive, and so they exclude certain things and they don't tell you about them. I haven't seen a whole lot of agents doing that lately, but according to the reviews, a lot of coverages that I see are optional parts, people are very frustrated with. And so you really need to know what you're buying when you purchase a home policy. Like I said, I'm going to link that either up here or down below, or after this video, it'll be on one of these little side spots. But it's going to tell you about what happens when your home insurance isn't covered, but it also goes through the main pieces of parts that aren't part of a home policy. So there's a few things that I have a problem with Progressive Home. One, I'm not 100% sure I love it yet. They've actually incorporated it into their system. When I say that, I mean that they bought a company. It used to be ASI, which is American Strategic Insurance, and they used to work with multiple companies because they were pretty decent. The problem is Progressive needed a home company, so they bought them, and now they're using them exclusively. Typically, and I don't know the insides, but when that happens, there's a lot of changes and a lot of little things that are happening, and there's a lot of pieces that are missed. So whether they kept the same ASI as it was and just acquired them, or if they're trying to update them and change them, that could also be a thing as well. The parts that I know I don't like about a home policy with Progressive is that their inspections are really, really tough. Whenever I have an inspector go out there, if they say one thing, there's almost no way to argue it the other way. Now, sometimes they make mistakes and they own up to those, so I do appreciate that. Great job, Progressive. However, there are a lot of times where when they see one thing, they get really nitpicky about the rest. So if they come into your house and they see some trash in the yard, could have been a junk day that you were cleaning up, they're going to start nitpicking the other parts of the house and looking for things that are going to cause problems. And sometimes those things are not problematic, but they become problematic on paper. Just something to be wary of. That's where your agent comes into play. They're going to fight those battles for you so you don't have to. The other part is not really Progressive, it's the agent. And I see this happen all the time. They miscalculate the replacement cost of your house. So they thought it was vinyl siding, but it's really brick. There's a $30,000 or more difference in replacement cost on that. So your price is going to go up $100. You're not going to be so happy. The third piece that I'm a little bit frustrated with is Progressive. Out of all the companies I've worked with, I've worked with 17 today. And out of all those 17, they're the only ones that count claims from previous owners. So if you bought a house tomorrow and there was a claim a year ago, there's typically a 3-year span between the claim and when it falls off. They're going to count that. It's going to raise your rate with Progressive because their guidelines is they're not following the person, they're following the house. That's kind of like saying if I bought a car from somebody that it was used and he had a claim on it, that's going to affect me. As long as the claim was fixed, I'm okay if they even say, okay, what was it? Did they fix it? Do we need proof of that? If that's a different scenario, I'm happy to do that. But in this case, they don't let you remove it. It's there. It's locked in. You can't change it. The biggest problem is if it's a water claim, then it's going to not only raise the rate, but it might even deny you completely. You may not even be qualified for Progressive Home. So you got the really good deal on the auto, but you can't even buy the home and get that multi-car discount, which is like 20 to 25%. That's huge in insurance, especially when you're paying several $1,000s a year. It makes a difference on how much you pay. Several $100s in savings to me matter. The fourth thing that I'm a little bit frustrated with the way that Progressive Home does things is they're really, really picky about dogs. They actually didn't like them at all before. You used to add a dog and there was a $40,000 bill on top of it. That was their way of weeding people out that had dogs that they didn't want. That was the non-eligible breeds. Well, now they'll deny you, but they'll allow other dogs. There's a surcharge for that, which is kind of frustrating. Some companies actually charge it, some don't. So it's really a hit or miss. It's not as frustrating that it's there, but it's frustrating that when the inspector goes out, if they hear the dog bark, if they hear anything, they're just like, they're all over it. Like, oh, I heard a dog, you got to explain it, got to ask the customer, you got to call them right now. So it's a little bit of a frustration. I feel like it's kind of one of those points where they're just not trusting in that aspect, because I get it. People are going to hide their dogs. It's part of the insurance industry. If you're going to charge $75 to have a dog, then I'm not going to tell you that I have a dog. I get it. Like, I will, because I'm an agent and I have to be honest. But I get where the people don't want to do that. That's a big problem. That's also some of the complaints I saw on the website, is the agents didn't really explain it very well. And so they bought the house policy, and then the inspector came over and they had 3 dogs. It was just a fiasco. Same thing goes for trampolines. I guess you could call that number 5, is they also surcharge for trampolines. Some companies will flat out deny you if you have a trampoline. I'm at least happy for the fact that in most states that Progressive is going to cover that. I just don't like the fact that there's a charge for it. I get the risk, I just don't love it. The sixth thing that I don't like about the way Progressive Home is, it actually leans to their renter's insurance. So when I was writing renter's insurance, unless you've changed it in the last several months, when you pay with a credit card, it won't let you do an auto pay, which is really, really crazy because it's a credit card, it's money. If you got to charge a $2 fee for the 3% fee that the credit card's charging you, great, charge it. Go ahead and let me reoccur that payment. But it also doesn't hard stop you and warn you. What it does is it cancels the policy the next month, because it won't try to charge it again. It's going to send an email to the customer. The customer thinks that it's on an auto pay. And so it's partially the agent's fault and mostly the agent's fault. But the problem is the agent's going so fast. They're doing their auto, they're doing their home, they're doing an umbrella. You got to keep in mind that they may miss that. And that's probably the biggest thing I see, is they're pushing the credit card payment through, and then they forget that Progressive doesn't let it reoccur. But they also don't warn you enough where it's a red bullet point that says, hey, wait a minute, you should probably get a routing account number now. That way we can buy it on an auto pay. Like, you just clicked on the auto pay button, you should probably get the information in there. If not, let's just say agents they're never going to get it, right? I'll never do it. I'll mess it up every day. If that's the case, then default the policy to paper bill, charge the $5 fee that you charge every month, and send the bill to the customer. Give him 90 days to pay it. If he doesn't pay it, cancel the policy. So I'm done bashing Progressive. I love you guys. You actually were listed as one of my top companies for the year of 2020. If you want to watch that video, go here. Progressive's been a great fit for most people. And I love the fact that they do certain things. I'm going to pick on you on one more piece. And this is actually a piece I like, but I'm going to tell you it because customers are frustrated with it. If you call Progressive too many times, you're busying up their people. There's a surcharge for that. So if you call them for help, they're always going to have some tiny little fee. Not every time. There's like a certain number, and I don't know what that number is, but there's an issue that I have there where I don't know if it should be charged. I actually like that you charge that, because in all honesty, if a customer is calling 6, 7, 8 times a week, either something's really wrong and it just needs to go to a supervisor and get fixed, or that customer just has so many problems. I've done it. The credit card changed. They can't pay until Friday. They call you on Thursday to confirm, and then they get their paycheck, but it didn't go in, and so they're calling you for Saturday, and then all of a sudden Saturday hits, and then they spent the money, and now they want to delay for the next month. Like, that is frustrating. So I'm also going to make another video that goes in some of the positives of Progressive ASI/home insurance, because they are overall a really good company. I mean, the reviews speak for themselves. If you guys want to watch that video, leave me a comment below and let me know. Are you with Progressive? Have you had friends with Progressive? What is your experience? Also, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell icon so when I post that video live, you're going to get to see that first. And if you're part of an agency or you're an agent, definitely go down below or click on some of my videos because I just started doing some trainings for actual agents. I'd love to speak with you guys. My name is Mark Flockhart. I'm with Think Insurance. I will see you in the next one.